This swivel jack could cost you the big bucks. So before you run out and buy it, make sure that you know what you're getting into, you make the right purchase so that you don't break the bank. This little 5x8 trailer here is a good candidate for a jack upgrade. It has the A-frame style jack that either bolts or welds right through the A-frame. Very popular jack, been around forever, still used today. But this is a common upgrade, and many times it is an option that you can get on a new trailer where we delete this jack and move it for a couple of different reasons. But if you have a setup like this and you want to change it or upgrade it or relocate the jack, there's a couple of things that you need to know when purchasing the jack and where it goes. So we're gonna cover those today so that it don't cost you some big money, because it could cost you some major damage. The main reason for relocating this jack is so that we can open our tailgate. So we're going to talk about some different jacks, some different installs, and the proper way to do this upgrade on this unit. The jacks we're going to be talking about today are swivel jacks or flip jacks, depending on what you want to call them. Jacks are also called landing gear. This is one of the most popular. It is a bolt-on unit. You're going to see this at trailer park suppliers. You're also going to see this big box store, and I'm sure that you can find them readily available online. Like I said, this has been around forever. There's been a few changes, and this is a bolt-on application. We do have several different options though, as far as style, weight rating. So there's lots of things to consider. This is a pipe mount style. So this has to be welded to the trailer, and then your jack will flip up, or you can remove it. This is used on tongue applications. They're also often used for stabilizers on the rear of the trailer. If you don't have a stabilized style ramp, it just keeps you from pulling the tongue of the trailer up when you go to load that load. This is the top line version. We have the same thing here in the side wide version. Another popular one is, this is similar to the bolt-on, but this is the weld-on version. So it does come with a plate here that's raw. It's not been powder coated or painted. You can weld this on to the tongue, and then you have a flip jack. The problem with these is really not the jacks. It's the lack of understanding on how they're installed. And really we see it as far as trailer components or add-ons, we see this installed incorrectly, maybe more than any other component. And it's just a lack of understanding of how to install it. But it can be catastrophic. It can cause some huge damage and a lot of money down the road. So I want to keep you from making that mistake today. And maybe you even have a unit that currently is running this. Maybe you don't know what to look for. If you do, I'm going to suggest that maybe you relocate that to a better position. So we're going to show you some trailers of how they're incorrectly installed, and then we're going to show you some how they're correctly installed, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to use it on this unit. When it comes to a DIY engineering marvel, this trailer right here fits the bill. When I first seen this trailer, it was not for sale, but I thought to myself, I've got to have it. This thing is so ugly, it will make a freight train take a dirt road. So I asked the guy, I said, hey, would you sell that thing? And he seen the sucker coming, and he's like, absolutely. So he sold it to me, probably took advantage of me, but I just had to have it to make some videos with, because it has got some crazy stuff going on. But today we're going to talk about the jack and the landing gear and some improper installs. So let's first look to see what it's got going on. So it originally had a tongue jack on there, so they cut that off nice and neat. Then they put a pipe mount jack over here. It's also had a swivel jack weld on right there. And then over on this side, it has currently, with no foot, a pipe weld on. It's welded-ish on. And then we swing around here, we'll get the camera behind this jack. It's got another swivel weld on style jack. So it's had at least 5 jacks in its life. I'm gonna tell you, out of the 5 it's had, there's really only one that was installed properly at some point in its life. This thing is crazy. We're gonna shoot another video on this later on that has to deal with the floor. That's gonna be an awesome video, so be sure to click to subscribe so that you get that alert when we do that video. Give us a thumbs up, leave your comments. You're not gonna miss it when we see this one. So you can see the mess we've got going on here. So this is gonna take quite a bit of redo to get this right. So let's go look at some trailers on how to properly install it. So here we have kind of a mixture in between an A-frame style tongue and a straight shaft. We do have a swivel jack on here. This one is installed correctly. You can put this up out of the way. And it's nothing hanging down. Handle is out of the way. Nice install. This is the weld-on style flip jack. You could not put the bolt-on style here, so the weld-on. You could also put the pipe mount style on here, but this is done correctly, and it just allows you to get the jack up out of the way so you don't take a risk of dragging it. This one is done right, and you can see how that works on this tongue setup. So here we have the pipe mount style swivel jack. So it gives you a couple of options. You can simply just pull the pin, flip it up out of the way. It's completely out of the way, it's not gonna hang down. Or if you like, you can remove this, throw it in the toolbox, and not have anything on there. So this is a good way to do it. This one is installed correctly. In this application, you would want the top line, the side line would get in the way. They do offer this also in a square style that's taller, just depending on what application you're using, but this one is a good way to do it. So now let's go talk about the one that we're gonna retrofit, how we need to install it, and something that's gonna keep you from installing down the road, just to make sure that you make the right decision when purchasing your swivel jack. Something else to consider before removing or relocating this jack and using the swivel jack is if you're ever going to put a tongue box on a standard length tongue. This is a standard length tongue. If you were to put your tongue box on there, that is pretty handy, but it's gonna get in the way of any type of swivel jack you put on, whether installed incorrectly or correctly. It will even get in the way of this style jack. You could change this to a sidewind, point the sidewind to the front, and it would give you the option of a jack. So again, before you go out and buy that swivel jack, there's several things to consider. Now, some trailers have extended tongues on there, and you do have enough room to install a toolbox plus a couple different options on the swivel jack. So I'm gonna show you real quick what we're gonna do on this one, then I'm gonna tell you why it's important to do it this way to keep from costing you some money down the road. So this is the location that I intend on placing this swivel jack. I am opting to use the pipe mount jack. I just like them. I think they're a little stronger for this application. Another thing to consider, you gotta make sure that it's gonna flip. Right now, it won't make it, but I still have plenty of retraction left on the jack. So make sure you bring the jack all the way down and make sure that's gonna work, unless you plan on just taking it off and on. And you do have that option with the pipe mount. But to do that, we are not going to put it here. We're not gonna put it anywhere out here. Even if I decide to put some type of box, I'll have to do something differently. So what we're gonna do, once we delete this jack, we're gonna cut this off. We'll actually put a piece of plate where it goes just to make it look nice. And we want our jack to be in the center of the trailer. So once we figure that out, we're actually gonna take a piece, for this application, a piece of 3-inch channel. And once this is gone, we're gonna tuck that up underneath this location, and then we're gonna bring that channel all the way back and tie into this cross member. We'll weld in there and put this carrying the load as in the center as we can. If you need to scoot it over, you can do that too, but you want the jack as close to center as possible, just so that you distribute the weight correctly. Now, an important thing you need to do along with this, you're not done there. Once this is done, it needs, I'm gonna move this out of the way so you can get a better idea. It will need some type of cross bracing. So we will actually cut this down, and it's gonna cross, and we're gonna weld it wherever your weld-on stud goes. We're gonna cross brace this back to the A-frame, just so we don't get any twisting out of this. If you do this just alone, you can get some twisting. That is a disadvantage to any type of swivel jack. They do have some play in it. They have to in order for it to swivel. So that is the correct way to install it. You can also use a piece of channel here, whatever fits the best. Just make sure you weld it back to some type of cross member. If you don't have a cross member here, you can go up underneath the front cross member of the trailer, weld in there. But the reason we do this is the correct way to do it. But the reason we do this is to keep you from having damage, catastrophic failure, and costing you money down the road. And what will cause that, I think we can just do it from this side. Whether you mount it on the curb side or the driver's side, it's easy to mount it right there. It will jack the trailer up and down. It will support it. It will do all things, but what it will cause over time, especially if you ever dolly down loaded, whether that's a side-by-side, whether it's a piece of equipment. I'm not a big fan of dollying stuff down, but let's face it, a lot of people will leave their side-by-side or their tractor or whatever piece of equipment on the trailer to move trucks, and there's nothing wrong with that if you have an adequate jack that is going to support the load statically. You need to make sure of that. But what will happen with it on the side, it will begin to twist. And over time, it will completely twist the tongue out. It will bend it and cause collapse. We see that even on heavy channel side trailers, heavy angle side trailers like the ugly one that I'm now the proud owner of. It will twist it out, cause it to break off, or cause full collapse. If you mount it up closer to the front, that is better. You do have some structure here. You're less likely to twist, but it will twist. The other thing it will cause, we'll move the camera around to the front. So with the jack in the center, it's evenly holding the load of the tongue. You can imagine if you move your swivel jack back here and this is loaded, it is going to be weak on this side. So it can cause full frame twist, especially if you have a lighter angle iron frame trailer compared to an I-beam or a channel iron trailer. It will cause full twist, could cause collapse, or it could bend your trailer frame in such a manner that you're going to take it to a frame shop, or you could total it out. So again, these are installed incorrectly all the time. Probably have 4 or 5 units on the yard right now that are in need of correct repair on this. And again, it's just lack of, it's easy to weld that thing on there. I mean, 30 minutes, if you know how to weld, you're prepped, welded, and done to do it that way. But it can cost you a bunch of money down the road. So make sure whatever type of swivel jack, it's going in the center of the trailer. Those bolt-on style, these are really designed and mostly used in the marine industry where you just have a single beam, straight beam tongue coming out. That will be just fine because you're in the center. Or if you have the frame that's partially A-frame and then the tongue sticking out like the blue tongue that we showed you earlier, that will work just fine. But this will do the same thing again. It will either twist out, and many times it will actually break the snap ring off that's on the pivot because it just puts too much pressure just from the trailer twist on there and cause you issues. So make sure before you go out and spend that money and do your delete on your tongue jack so that you can open your tailgate, make sure it's going to be beneficial to you. Make sure if you're going to put a toolbox on, you consider that, but just don't twist or break your trailer frame, because if you have to put a tongue on one, it's going to cost you. Even if you're capable of doing it yourself, just do it right the first time and you ain't going to have to worry about it. So with that being said, make sure to balance your tires, check the lug nuts, put your jack in the center of the load, and we will see you down the road.